Hi there, my name is Steve Gerhardt, and as always, this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this week's video. This week's video has to do with an anime that you should watch when you're sick. Last week, I got really sick. No, I did not get COVID again, but I got the summer crud, and it just knocked me out for a loop. So, I wanted to watch an anime that was so tropey and so out of date that when I watched it, and if I were to fall asleep for like 5-10 minutes and wake back up, I wouldn't necessarily be lost, nor would I care. So basically, I was just aiming for an anime. When you're sick, you just want to watch something that almost doesn't mean anything. It's just for entertainment, just to keep your brain occupied from the mucus jam that's going on in your head. As you can tell with my voice, that I'm still getting over it a little bit. So let's go into this anime called The Silent Service. So before I start on this quick review, you're probably noticing that the background looks a little bit different. I'm out in my living room. My bedroom is kind of just a mess right now. That's where I normally do this. So this was just easier to come out of here. And plus, the pretty lady who gives me food is also now got the crud that I had. So that's kind of her space now for the time being, because I don't feel like getting reinfected. Anyway, just to kind of give you an idea what it kind of looks like in here. Go scroll up a little bit. It's a neat room. It's a neat building. It was built in 1947, so a lot of Art Deco stuff going on around here. So anyway, let's talk about The Silent Service. Now, as always, an anime usually comes from a manga. This is no different. This was in, I think, Seinen Morning from 1986 to 1995. Konishiya got the rights to it, and they put a 32-volume set together, so you can get it in that form online, or if you find it somewhere. The Silent Service anime itself is actually a 3-part OVA, which I did not know when I watched it at the time, because it was presented as a movie. Central Park, as we all know, did a lot of licensing stuff in the 80s and 90s, and this is one of those things, and they decided to make a movie, so they smashed the first 2 episodes of the OVA together, and that's kind of what I watched, and that's kind of what's the version that's out there right now. You can find all 3 episodes. It's you have to look a little bit, but you can find it out there, because one of the things about the Silent Service anime is that it is, if you ever go to a website, a streaming site, whatever, that has either a retro element to it, or it does retro anime, like retro anime, or manga TV, which is where I found this on the Roku streaming services, you stand a very good chance of finding The Silent Service there, because it's almost ubiquitous and it's almost everywhere. People kind of go, "Oh yeah, I'll get to that someday," and they never do. And to be honest, that's okay if you never get to it. It's not that it's a bad anime; it's that it is not really relevant. There are tropes in there, there are ideas in there are concepts in there that are universal. Peace is the goal of the main character, but it is so tropey and it is so out of date in the time period that it was existing in, that it almost doesn't matter anymore. So who is this for? If you're a Cold War fan of things Cold War, watch this. You'll enjoy it for that political element to it. This is definitely set in that time period. All the major powers are, just in reality. I grew up in the 80s, so this was a thing where pretty much Russia, the United States, and all the other nuclear powers were on edge with each other, and mutually assured destruction, MAD, was pretty much the policy in place, where we just kind of saber rattled and hope to God no one actually unsheathed the sword, so to speak. So this anime is about that, and it is so tropey. So the premise of all of this is that Japan and the United States enter into a submarine engineering top secret project, and they put this submarine called the Seabat, and it's supposed to be the ultimate submarine in the world, and Basically, the setup is that that Japan would fake the death of an entire crew, the best crew that they have, and that would be the crew of the Seabat, and it would be nominally under the orders of the 7th Fleet U.S., so that specific fleet. Very convoluted. The anime starts off with that plan in motion, where a Russian sub is hit by a Japanese sub. The Japanese sub sinks. Everyone thinks that everybody's lost on the sub. Kind of weird that I was watching this with what happened with the Titan submersible. Anyway, the friend or classmate, rival, whatever you want to call him, of the killed captain thinks there's something wrong, not quite right, and he discovers that the captain and the crew are indeed alive, and he demands answers as to what is going on, and he finds out the plan, the engineering plan. So the guy who's now captain of this submarine, the Seabat, he's not a crazy guy. He's quite sane. They make this point very clear. He's not insane. He's not out to destroy the world. He's given a lot of trust, and his crew is one of the best, and he's one of the best, one of the top 2 captains. Of course, the other captain, who's number 2, is the guy who figured out that something was wrong. So the rest of the story is really basically, you guessed it, rogue sub-captain takes the world hostage. Basically. So this guy is, very calm, cool, collected. His crew is right behind him 100%. They're behind the mission, which is to save the world, peace unto the world through nuclear threat. Because he feels that the big boys who are doing the same thing aren't doing it very well. He feels that he can do it better. Suspension of disbelief, folks. So here's the problem with the anime, is that every single confrontation between the Japanese guy on the sub, which he renames from the Seabat to the Yamato. If you know your Japanese history, Yamato is a very special word, and you don't invoke that without purpose or meaning. It's a very potent symbol for the Japanese. So he is calling it the Yamato, and he is saying he's gone rogue, and he calls the sub its own nation, and apparently somehow everyone goes, okay, we recognize the submarine as a nation. They treat it thusly. So every time there's a confrontation with the American 7th Fleet, it's supposed to ratchet up the tension, right? But really, this is what you get. Wily Japanese sub-commander outwits the stupid Americans, all of whom in the military talk with a Texas twang, and they shoot first and ask questions later, and they seem to go rogue themselves, but they can never get the sub-captain because he's that good. You get that over and over and over again, and it gets a little stale and old after a while. Because this anime was made in the mid-90s, this is not unusual for anime at that time to cast the United States as not great guys. Not the outright enemy, right? But we're not great guys. Obvious reasons. So, there's definitely the anime stereotypes of Americans in this anime. And it's always funny to me to watch that, but in this case it gets old after a while, just because it's not supposed to be like, oh, here's the man children with big guns, happy Texas twang Americans. It's more like the Americans don't know what they're doing, they're ruining the world, and it's just like after a while you're like, yeah, okay, your sub-captain's doing the same exact thing, but okay. So anyway, so it's old. So this anime is old. It's using an outdated plot device. It's set in the Cold War. It's who watches this? If you are Japanese but you're not nationalistic, but you're pro-military and you want peace in the world, that this is for you. If you happen to enjoy that type of genre of submarine movies, this is for you. For the rest of us, I I was sick, I had a fever, and it was something to occupy my brain while I was hacking out a lung. It did what it did for me. So, there you go. But what's interesting is who's involved with this anime. So let me go into the notes here. So again, it had a really good run, almost a 10-year run in manga form. And the original animation, like I said, is a 3-episode animation. It was directed by Ryusuke Takahashi. If you know that name, it's because he did Votons, he did Fang of the Sun, Panzer World, Blue Comet, a whole bunch of stuff. So, if that name sounds familiar, it's like, okay, there you go. Art style is very familiar, very 90s, by the way. And, yeah, it's just, you have this really star director making a, quite frankly, mediocre anime. So, there you go. But what I would be interested to see, and I didn't know this until today, is that Amazon Prime Video is going to release the live action version of this on the end of September of this year. So since I've watched the first 2 episodes of the OVA called a movie by Central Park Media, someday I'll watch the 3rd episode. I kind of feel like I'm vested to watch the live action anime because I have a feeling that might be more enjoyable, to be perfectly honest. I think this is more of a live action thing than an anime thing. Okay, so yes, that's it. The silent service, good for when you're sick. Probably you could overlook it if you never see it in your life. I think that's okay. Okay, short video this week. As you can tell, I'm starting to lose my voice again, so I'm just going to keep this short and simple. You guys take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and smash the bell if you want to get notifications. Again, take care of yourselves. Take better care than I did. And try not to get the summer crud. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.